things only get weirder for the Dodgers than that whole game. This Shohei Ohtani situation is as crazy as you can imagine, and also not, because Shohei Ohtani comes off as being an incredibly wholesome guy who is very nice. And
are you implying that it's all a fraud? Is that where you're going with this?
I could imply that. I could absolutely say that. I could say that
he comes across as a nice guy, but just wait till you see.
Non-zero chance. There's a non-zero chance. I'm not saying there's a big chance. I'm just saying there's a non-zero chance that Shohei Ohtani has a gambling problem.
100%. Why is that a crazy thing to say?
It's because
Shohei Ohtani's our sweet little baby angel and he can't do anything wrong.
Yes.
Jesse, stop it.
But it's real life,
Dodgers,
right? And there's
he's not the good guy we thought he was.
Look, I've come to learn in life that it's not the don't meet your heroes thing as much as it's just like sometimes in life when things seem too good to be true, they might be. Now, for those of you that don't know what we're making wild, reckless allegations about, let's go ahead and talk about it. The Los Angeles Dodgers have fired Shohei Ohtani's interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara. He was fired Wednesday afternoon after questions surrounding at least $4.5 million in wire transfers sent from Shohei Ohtani's bank account to a bookmaking operation, which has set off an entire series of events. That bookmaker was in California, where it is illegal to have, to gamble on sports. You cannot have a DraftKings account. You can't do any of that in California. So in order to participate in those events, old school bookies, right? We go back to bookmakers and it's illegal. And of course, this bookmaker was essentially investigated by the feds, and it was traced back based on checks that they had received back to Shohei Ohtani. And that's kind of what unraveled this whole situation. So according to multiple sources who spoke to ESPN, this ESPN article is incredibly comprehensive. And it's very weird too, because it's part of the story kind of involves the ESPN interview for this article, right? So Mizuhara incurred the gambling debts to this bookmaker operation, and it was a lot. He basically lost what sounded like $1 million roughly, and then tried to bet his way out of that, which is never a good situation for anybody, right? I mean, that's the minute that you're there, that's bad news, right? But then it gets stranger though, because of course the connection here and Mizuhara kind of taking the fall, or at least being the one accused of the actual crime, even though the checks are coming from Shohei Ohtani, kind of made sense. A spokesperson for Ohtani set up an interview between Ippei and essentially the ESPN writer,
a 90-minute interview.
90-minute interview, which he kind of confessed everything. He said everything was his fault. And in the interview,
said that Shohei was not the one doing any of the sports betting. It was all him. He said that he did not bet on baseball. That is something that I guess MLB interpreters are not allowed to do. He was betting on other sports, which presumably would be allowed unless you're doing it in a state that does not allow such things, which was the situation here.
Right. And so he basically said that Ohtani bailed him out, that he knew about it, and he gave him the money in order for him to pay off his debt. There is a statement about how he would promise not to gamble anymore as part of the agreement, would also agree to pay Ohtani back. Something wild that was discussed in this article, Jesse, is that this man was making, as an interpreter for a baseball team, $300,000 to $500,000 annually, and then he still needs to essentially not it's just crazy. That's
he owes $1 million in gambling debt. Like,
I get it, but God damn it, I didn't know interpreters made this much money. I should have stuck to Spanish. Yeah. I really feel like I made a mistake in career choices here. But getting back to this, obviously the weird part here is that then after he gave this interview, everything changed the following day, which is today, right? So today, ESPN was contacted by the same representative that set up the interview and was told that they disavowed anything that he said yesterday, even though it seemed like the spokesperson corroborated the story the day before. And now Shohei Ohtani did not know anything about this at all. and his lawyers started calling it massive theft, essentially, right? And this is huge because this man was not just an interpreter for Shohei, but a friend, a really close friend.
Yeah,
and that's what
basically
makes
paid to follow Shohei wherever he goes. And that's been the case since Shohei came into the league back in 2018 with the Angels. Ippei has been there from the very beginning. And yeah, he's not just an interpreter. There's stuff in here about him like carrying Ohtani's water bottle, and they go over scouting reports before games together and whatnot. So this is a really, really big deal that Ippei is no longer in the picture. Like Ippei has almost become a baseball celebrity in his own right because he's the interpreter.
We watched an interview with him just before this.
Yeah, he's an interpreter for the most famous baseball player that exists right now. So. That part of it is a big deal. I know some people were like, Ohtani in his contract, he had something about if certain Dodgers personnel were no longer in place, he could opt out. Ippei was not one of those people.
Andrew Friedman, right?
Yeah, Andrew Friedman. I think there are a few other people. Yeah. Ippei, at least from what I've seen, not one of those people. So I think we can put that to bed. And frankly, even if Ippei had been on that list, people should understand that
circumstances can change because it's a voluntary thing.
Exactly.
Shohei trying to escape his billion-dollar contract.
It's not that Ohtani deeply wants out and he's simply looking for an excuse to do so. It is that there are certain provisions where if he decided he wanted to opt out, he could if certain people left the organization.
Absolutely.
But yes, Ippei, not one of those people.
And I don't think that this honestly has anything to do with Shohei gambling. I think the story that was told yesterday was probably the truth. And I think the alteration today was due to the fact that there are a lot of complications with them admitting that Ohtani knew about this. And Tim said it in the chat, but Tim said the problem here is this. Did Shohei know and initiate the payment? It came from his bank account. Then he retracted that, and that's what Shohei claimed fraud and terminated him. That is wire fraud. And in a wire fraud situation, Shohei would be complicit if he knew about it and didn't have the money stolen from him. I think if there's any fall guy situation here, it's the changing of the story that Ippei did so that he assumes full responsibility for it, with Shohei being able to essentially not have any involvement in this at all. Long term, this will probably just go away. And essentially, the man who was terminated is the one that's going to suffer the repercussions for this. But it's an interesting thing because, of course, wire fraud being a crime does impact Shohei Ohtani, and that's not something necessarily he can just maybe buy his way out of. That could be huge and a huge impact on his career, right? But I mean, this whole situation really sucks if you're a Dodgers fan, and if you're not, that's all I'll say. But we do want the Dodgers to be taken down a peg, and sometimes life finds a way. And that's maybe what this situation might be a little bit. I don't know. Right now, the Dodgers have a lot of pressure on them with coming back from this Seoul series and trying, like I said earlier, to get back to spring training, trying to have a regular season from that point on. And this is definitely a huge problem for the organization and for Shohei.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not a great look. We'll see how this thing resolves. I don't have a super hardcore take on it right now, I guess. I'm not really buying into the narrative that Ippei is the fall guy for Ohtani having like these gambling addictions or whatever. I don't think that's true.
Who knows?
Derek is saying there's a non-zero chance.
There is a non-zero chance. Let's just be honest about this. If Tatis or somebody like that was caught in this exact same scenario, every single fucking person would say he was involved in it. It's just because Ohtani's this lovable guy that everyone thinks can do no wrong.
But to be fair,
you can laugh all you want, Jesse, but that's the goddamn truth.
He's right. It's all based on reputation at times, whether how much someone's going to believe that you were involved or not. And
there is no evidence that has been presented that Shohei Ohtani is guilty of anything.
No. But it's the narrative that's going around on social media and such about this, especially with the change of the story. That's why I said I personally just believe the change of the story is to the fact that there are still crimes attached to wire fraud. Tim hit the nail on the head with that, and that Shohei could still be implicated as being complicit in the situation and charged with a crime should that happen, right? Like, should a wire fraud charge, maybe maybe the prosecutor's a Giants fan, Jesse. I'm just saying, maybe you never know where people's allegiances are.
That would be huge.
I'm just saying.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Elise said he'll be just deferring the wire fraud charge. Oh, God. She's fucking nailed it. Let's go.
Elise never misses.
She has not missed one time.
No, she has never missed. Not a single time.